Welcome one and all to round number 2 of the DTR Esports League, running alongside season 3 of DTR itself, and we're here in the at the Bahrain International Circuit in Bahrain, ready for round 2. Under the lights once again. Of course, we were in Saudi last week for the first round of the season, and I'm sure we're going to have an equally as exciting race here this evening. Something I think we should all be looking forward to, especially after the the duel that happened last week. The fight at the front was fierce. The pace up and down the field, absolutely electric, as the 10 teams battle it out to find out who is going to reign supreme. Minute gone already in qualifying, but no cars out on track. We'll see if anyone has opted for an alternate strategy. And at this early stage of qualifying, it's like two guys potentially opting for the medium tyres. See there. Tesla and XL Rocco, and also QVR Packer joining the club as well. Well, we've got a brief pause with no on-track action just as yet. We'll talk about last week. We'll dive into what's happened in the championship standings as the first cars seem to be making their way out on track. Is that an Alpine? I think it might be Nathan is the first guy out on track in the Alpine as well. It's fitting we speak about the Alpines, it must be said, because they lead the way at the moment as things stand at the top of the championship. It was a win last week for Ariel, and they lead the way as things stand, but it's super close with XL on 22 points, just a 3 behind them, and it's going to be a great battle out of the top. I must be said, Nathan returning from last week, raced in Saudi, qualified at P3, but unfortunately just missing out on the points in P11 for him on that occasion. Making their way through the first sector now. A lot of guys opting for the medium tyres in the early phases of qualifying. Potentially looking for a bit of an alternate strategy going into the opening couple of laps, and it's an interesting strategy because it's very much on the borderline of a soft medium, but soft hard tends to be the preferable strategy. Just saw that on last year's game as well, and looks like maybe the the Ferrari of Killer Blue looking to go down the inside as we're already dueling on the first of our outlaps. Must have said as well, Jari commentated last week. Is he down in P20 at the moment on his outlap for DRA in the Red Bull? He's racing this evening, and I will be your normal commentator, so hopefully that's a good thing for most people. We're just about to dive into our qualifying laps, and we're going to go on board with Nathan for the first lap here in Bahrain. Out of the final corner we go, DRS wide open as you run down towards turn number 1, heaviest braking zone. Of course, where we saw the duel between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc in the real life race, slamming on the brakes just around the 100-meter board, getting the car nicely tucked in, just missing that big sausage curb and getting on the power, just avoiding full throttle there as he gets a nice smooth run now, opening DRS up the hill towards turn number 4. Spotty braking point again, using all the curb on entry. Gonna flick the car in, just missing the curb once again, and running as wide as he dares, using quite a bit of curb on the exit. His teammate keeping out the way very nicely as well. Now into the middle sector we go, dropping down the hill. You want to try and straight line the braking as best you can for turn number 8 as we climb back up to what's considered one of the trickiest braking points and corners on the circuit. As it turns and tightens towards this hairpin of turn 10, and onto the DRS straight in the middle part of the lap. Nathan looking pretty good so far, nice clean lap, and that is important, especially in your first run. Just getting a nice solid time on the board. Sort of using that ESports line that we tend to see from the top racers, really maximising entry as we now make this way through a flat out section of the top end of the circuit. Combination time is going to be a 1 minute 4.5, so I'm going to keep an eye on as we watch drivers on board laps. One more corner, well, 2 more corners to go now as we head down one of the back straights of the lap, and it'll slam on the brakes again just around that, just after the 100-meter board, throwing the car in a third gear, shifting up early in the fourth to help with the traction, getting the power down, and on the run towards the line, the time from Nathan is going to be a 1 minute 25.767. Killer Blue, Verstappen falling in behind. Look a bit just further down in the pecking order. Mercedes out on the medium tyres, not too far off. See his teammate in Cesar in TP gone into P5, which is now taken by Liam. He jumps his teammate there by a 1/10 of a second, and the time's going thick and fast. So a lot of the soft runners a little bit further up the order. We see how some of the DTR lads are getting on. Wesley pushing in the Aston Martin. 1 minute 5 combination, a little bit down on what we saw Nathan do a little bit earlier on. The two McLarens 4th and 5th for NLR. And just seeing a lap time there is Jarry moving himself up in a P2, of course, your commentator from last week. Wesley getting on the power nicely, running towards the line where he's going to put that Aston Martin's. The DRS is wide open. One of McLaren's off to the side as well. We've got a yellow flag, but Wesley goes into P7. His teammate Brent just behind the two Mercedes. P's good first section. He's going to get a bit of a slipstream potentially from the Mercedes in front, trying to help him along his way in the middle part of this lap. Not quite sure the Mercedes is on a flying lap itself as well. Looks like Mercedes, unless they're doing 2 runs on the mediums, which they could be. Do they have the ERS though to sort of pull that one off? He's going to potentially be pulling this Alpine along very nicely. I think Alpine maybe getting the team game as JT Gelato. So, goes P2, one of 4 drivers into the 1 minute 25s this evening. Nathan keeps out of the way of his teammate and down into the final corner. What can P's do? Nice exit again. Both Alpines shifting up into 4th very early. Mid-corner as the Mercedes ducks out of the way. And it's going to be 1 minute 25.963. Jumps ahead of Killer Blue there by a couple of hundredths of a second. It looks like the first runs in qualifying are pretty much done as Wesley invalidated, as he may be thinking about going in. A few drivers invalidating at the moment. As yeah, Liam goes for second lap and is P2 in terms of the medium runner. Duel a bit further back. Dave unable to improve. Rocco just finished his time, P17 for him on the mediums, and QV Alpaca, another driver pushing on the mediums for his first proper run in the session. As he now climbs up the hill towards the end of the middle sector, avoiding that curb on the inside, and it's 1 minute 6.2 combination time. Nice thing standing, he's going to get a nice exit, running away down towards the final 2 corners. 2 corners actually. At the end of the lap, unlike you'd expect, really one proper corner as he gets on the power now. Where will he fit in with the medium runners? It looks like everyone will be going for the soft later on. The mediums not providing. The Grip and Cuba pack goes into P18, a little bit further adrift from sort of the 27 mark, which is a lot of the soft guys are on. Luke at the moment, one of the 2 BNLR drivers. His teammate. No less, currently in P11. And as he now makes his way quite aggressively turning in there as he climbs up the hill now. So far, sort of the main running of that first run has is all done and dusted, and we're waiting for the second sort of attempts to be coming out. You see down the pit lane, so when Aston Martins will be starting that charge. There's a lot of people out on track now, ready to go again. The likes of Killer Blue, Verstappen also out on track. As Pease dives into the pit lane after his first run, but Luke puts his car into P19, 1 minute 29. Just looks like he may just be getting laps on the board at the moment, already 3 laps on those soft compound tyres. Killer Blue, we saw him pushing Nathan on the outlap a little bit early on. And that's a very weird comment, but I really appreciate it. I've never heard that before, but I've had someone's mum compliment my commentating, but I appreciate it. I guess I can move into the ASMR business, but there we go. We're gonna have a look at Killer Blue's flying lap now. Go on board with him once again. Verstappen a little bit up the road. Actually, we could follow him. Sort of flick between the 2 and try and monitor both their laps as they progress. Verstappen, maybe a little bit of traffic into turn 1 would not have been helping him out at all, and the margins are so fine. Did that put him off, or did it help him out with a bit of a tow, potentially from his teammate as well? Just heading out on the circuit for his outlap though. Verstappen heading down as he flicks into the middle sector. He's found a little bit of time. We'll see what Killer Blue is doing just behind him. A bit more freedom to reign from, potentially no benefit from slipstream or anything like that. Not running as wide as Nathan did, but finding even more time. Almost 400ths of a second. Verstappen just getting the nose tucked in there. Looked like he might have had a little bit of a lock up there as his DRS opens. And House Killer Blue faring a little bit further back because he both of their turn 10s. He's trying to compare both drivers. Killer Blue a little bit deep. He's going to get decent rotation sort of on the outside there. And man just about got away with it. Verstappen now heading towards the end of this middle sector. How's looking for him? 2.5 tenths up. This could be a time for provisional pole. We'll have to keep an eye on that with a flick back to it in a moment's time. Is the McLaren getting away? Is the McLaren helping him out? We'll have to see. A 10th up, so Verstappen has the advantage at the moment. Of course, Killer Blue is about a 10th and a half up already because of their initial lap times. Really demanding a lot on the exit there as Verstappen across the line. It's a 25.9. He goes ahead of Killer Blue. What can the Ferrari respond in this sort of mid-qualifying battle running towards the line now? DRS wide open, and it's going to be a 1 minute 25.789, almost putting himself onto provisional pole, but P2 just for him at the moment, a tenth and a half ahead of Verstappen. Jeremy further back, just starting his flying up. A lot of guys on out, let's keep an eye on who's doing what. Rest of the house as well, just starting flying. We're going to follow Jeremy though for his flying lap. Currently down in P9, the two McLarens line astern separated by 14 thousandths of a second. And McLaren, well, decent finishing last week. Decent in quality, both drivers in the top 10, and unfortunately Skydrift dropping down to P13, but P2 was where their highest driver finished. Finding time again, it's minimal time, but it's going to add up. Look at the gaps, they're so close at the moment. As we were just saying, it's an improvement for Brent there. Fantastic lap from the DTR driver, 25.9. Just jumping ahead of Verstappen's lap we saw a little bit earlier on. Nathan has started his second qualifying lap. He's just heading, I think, through the middle sector. So we'll maybe flick back to him, see where he's getting on as well. But following Jeremy for the time being, who's going to be next across the line is another question of mine. I think it might be Packer or Verstappen. We're heading back to the pit lane, and Gelato just on his out lap, I think, could be starting a flying lap again. But Jeremy is finding time. 2.5 tenths up. Will he be hunting for a bit of a slipstream off the Red Bull? Yes, he will. Looking for every advantage he can get. He's trying to jump into the 25s. Can he challenge the likes of P, Jarry, Verstappen and Brent? Into the final corner he goes. How wide will he get on the exit curb? Nice and cleanly within track limits as he runs towards the line now. It's going to be a 6.095. P9 jumps ahead of his teammate. How is Nathan getting on a little bit further back? He will be one of the next cars to cross the line. We'll go on board with the Alpine driver, really getting all the curbs, maximising everything. And as he opens the DRS, it's going to be a 1 minute 25.569. He finds almost 2 tenths of a second. That's a fantastic lap. Gelato just starting his flying lap. Mercedes is about to cross the line. We'll see if they're going to improve. Great improvement from Leroy. Goes into P3. See that first lap from me is a 1.2 seconds. Just ahead of Gelato. Great time from here. Yellow flags as cars are maybe starting to back up a little bit. Wesley in P11 has split the two McLarens. Great time from him. And you see the gap between Wesley and Brent. It's 6 positions. That's like, it's 2 and a bit tenths at the end of the day. Nathan. It's Praro. Goes on to provisional pole. Great lap of 25.5. Didn't race last week, so first time in the DTR Esports League for him. And Rocco setting a great time as well, going into P5. So it's 4th and 5th for the two Ferrari cars. At the moment, P's finding time as well. A lot of drivers finding just a little bit in the first stage. They're finding them, able just to maximise the grip a little bit more. And a 10th up now at the moment for P's. And well, a 10th for him could put him all the way up in a P5, maybe even P4. We'll see how he gets on. Because one of the Haas drivers about to come around the final corner. That's going to be Gelato, eventually diving into the pit lane. To try and do one more run. P's across the line is going to get a slight bit of slipstream from the car in front. It's a 25.790. Goes into that P5 gap we were talking about and splits the two Ferraris. One of McLaren's. That's Jeremy coming back into the pits. So it's going to be, I believe it's going to be Leroy, the next car to cross the line. He is coming into the pit lane. Wesley might be the next car. Again, another driver darting into the pit lane. Everyone getting prepared for that final run here in qualifying. It looks like Jarry, also another driver, into the 25.5s. Sorry, Jarry, we missed that one. That's a great time as well. Look how close it is up at the top of the field. The top three separated by around 300ths of a second. I don't think anyone's on a flying lap. Really, we might have one driver. If I can locate them. You guys on out laps, opting to do their final runs a little bit early. As Nolez makes a few improvements, 2 tenths up, and well, if he could find another 2 tenths, he'd put himself quite a bit further up the order. That's how close it is here. Dave looks like not the best first sector for him. He's not pushing on this lap. So Luke currently down in P20. He needs to find a bit of time. Not really a representative lap, I think, for him just yet. And we'll see what he can do as he heads up towards turn number 4. Not maximising the entry too much, bit too much curb. I think you'd be wanting to, and it's really just snapping for him. Doesn't look too comfortable in at that Williams at the moment. He's a little bit down on his first sector time. Is the Williams driver, so maybe struggling a little bit as things stand. I'm sure he can find up a lot of time later on in the lap. Kvyat Paco, another driver. Just starting his flying lap, a little bit wide on the exit. And again, another driver on the back foot with the time certainly against him as things stand. Also out on track is the McLaren of Felix and the Mercedes of Liam. Both getting ready to start their flying laps again, sort of out a little bit early compared to the rest of the field. Paccolo 0.3 of a second up on his previous time. This will be his final run. I wouldn't imagine, again, with ERS he would be able to run again. And we'll some Mercedes, just Liam just starting his flying lap. So again, the guys at the bottom of the field opting to go a few minutes early for their final runs, just wanting clear track just to sort of focus and try and dial their driving in. That didn't make any sense, but we'll carry on. Liam, though, using all the circuit, throws the car in, turn 4, and gets it nicely on the apex. Now, as he makes his way into the middle sector, 0.4 per second up. That's a great first sector time from Liam. I think we're going to follow this one to the end. Nathan out on the track at the moment. A lot of guys still in the pit lane, but I'm sure we're going to see that rush now, as we've got about 2 minutes left on the clock. Liam a little bit deep, but again, that it just finds the rotation quite late on, a minute 30, so everyone's going to be rushing out the pit lane now. It's a 1 minute 25 lap. You've looked down at the mini-map, a lot of guys, I think, can get stranded in the pit lane and not be able to finish laps. Maybe people don't want to set any more lap times. We'll have to keep an eye out. A lot of cars coming out, I think, a bit too late. The Mercedes and Red Bull definitely coming out too late. But Liam, though, 0.9 per second up. That would put him right on that sort of 25-26 board. I'm sure he can find a little bit more time. I think we're going to switch to Nathan there. Nathan there. Oh, Nathan trying to warm up his tyres. That was far from ideal. Got out of the way just in the nick of time. But Liam now, as he crossed the line, DRS wide open. It's going to be 1 minute 25.6. That's a brilliant time from Liam. Pulled out the lap when he needed to. A lot of guys, they're too late. I mean, the likes of Killer Blue's just got out onto the circuit. I think he's going to be left out a little bit to dry. Nathan, though, starting his flying lap. Gets the car nicely turned in, and Liam repaying the favour and getting out of the way just in the nick of time. Hugh Verstappen also started a flying lap a little bit further back from our POV at the moment. And Nathan, though, challenging Pyro for pole position. I think Pyro's going to be the next car we're going to see who's gone out way too late. If that is him, maybe just... But guys have got times a little bit wrong. Nathan finding time matches Liam's first sector, and that's actually Robbie, who's unfortunately gone out a little bit too late. It's going to be touching over a lot of guys. Killer Blue won't make the flag, as we spoke about earlier at turn 10. Yellow flags will have cleared by the time Nathan gets there. That car nicely tucked in, maybe missing the apex a little bit there. And DRS wide open, he could get a helping hand of Slipstream later on. And Jeremy is out of qualifying. I'm not sure. Looks like it should be in the pit lane, so no things to worry about. The checkered flag is out. No more times will be set. So Pyro, Jari, Killer Blue will be missing out. My calculations are correct. Rocco gets out of the way for us nicely. The car thrown in, it just understeers it. He demanded too much and he's given up on that flying lap. But Jari, I'm not sure if he's made it. I can't quite tell. Though Gelato might be the next car. There's so many cars out on track, so many cars almost not pushing to race here. You know, their qualifyings are done and dusted ultimately. We're trying to work out who is still on a push lap, who isn't on a push lap. As people are still... Checker flag is not coming out for people. So we'll just keep an eye on the whole field, to be perfectly honest. Because the checker flag is out here in qualifying. Gelato is finding time, though. A 1/10.5 up. He could be looking to try and jump ahead of Killer Blue here for P5. One more corner to go. There's a Kvyat Verstappen. I think it's just... No, it's not him. It's his teammate, unfortunately. It's Bakker just crossing the line. Round the final corner, go onto the pit straight. DRS wide open now, and the Haas car moves himself up into P5. Great time. Checker flag is now out for some people. Jari is improving. I'm not sure what's happening with the times. The checker, unless the time's wrong for me, and it's right for everybody else. I'm not quite sure, because Pyro is finding time. Of course, Nathan won't improve. He unfortunately made a mistake as he tried to turn into turn 13. The car just would not bite, and didn't get ahead there. Killer Blue's session is done. So 4th is the best for Liam, 7th is the best for Killer Blue. Can Pyro find any more time? Jari, his session's done and dusted. He's in P3. Pyro is finding more time, almost a 1/10 of a second. Could we be looking at a 25.4? He's invalidated, though, unfortunately, and that'll be no faster for him. P's finding time. One of the... Wesley, I think, will be the next car to cross the line. The DTR drive a little bit up, but stays P16 despite finding almost a 1/10 of a second. Verstappen is up as well at the moment. P-slowed across the line. It's going to be 1 minute 25.6. Goes into P6, exact same time as Gelato. Not sure where he's ahead, as he said his lap second, but nevertheless, Verstappen though moves himself up into, stays P6, moves himself on to P6, half his position, as Nathan goes P1. So was able to set another time. I thought the checkered flag was out, but bailed at the right time. Unfortunately, we missed his lap. I thought his qualifying was done, unfortunately. You can understand my confusion as Rob is out in the pit lane. That's absolutely fine, and I think that is qualifying done and dusted. A few... there's still time left in the session. Thank you, Shabby. That was a bit annoying. Unfortunately, we missed Nathan's ultimate push lap there. I think that would have been mega to watch. Almost over 0.2 of a second clear, and Nathan secures pole. He was P3 on the grid last week, but takes pole position here for round 2 in Bahrain. And well, an exciting qualifying session, a very tight qualifying session, it must be said. I mean, the top 10 are separated by less than half a second. We can see, we go down further down the order, but I mean the whole grid, unfortunately, if you ignore look on this occasion, the top 19 is separated by 0.9 of a second. I mean, that is crazy competitive. You know, of course we recognise a lot of these names in this grid, and everybody is absolutely rapid. But we'll go through the order. I'll go through the top 10 very quickly, and then we'll have a look at the whole grid during the formation now. But it's Nathan that takes pole from Pyro, Jarry in P3, both Mercedes of Liam and Leroy in 4 and 5, Verstappen, P's, Gelato, Brent and Killer Blue round out your top 10. They're the guys who have to start on the soft tyres, and of course strategy is all up to play for a little bit. Later on, who will go the mediums, who will go the hards is something we will be very intrigued to see for the first stint. But of course the safety car at VSC can mix things up. I don't know why the Mercedes and Red Bull have got the wets you can see ready in their garage. I'm not quite sure. I don't think we're going to be needing those tonight. Unless there's a rain shower forecast that we don't know about, but I'm pretty sure in Bahrain it's going to be a bone dry one from lights to flag. Just waiting for drivers to select their strategies, fuel loads. All the mediums have been readied in both the Mercedes and Red Bull garages, as you can see on your screen. So maybe that could be an omen. They could be starting on the softs. Those particular drivers, I think they qualify both in the top 10, so would make sense. So maybe a soft medium is the strategy people are going for. I'm sure we'll see on the formation lap the predicted strategies. And speaking of the formation lap, here we go, and that is the predicted strategies. A 2-stop seems to be what is being predicted there by the game. But nevertheless, we will run through the grid properly and then give a proper introduction to round number 2. It's Nathan on pole, P3 last week, P1 this week, and he leads the charge for Ariel in that Alpine. Pyro takes P2, storming drive there for CPI to put in that on the front row of the grid. 2 guys have been disqualified already, so they unfortunately might have a little bit cold tyres. So I have to keep an eye on them on the first go out. Jarry, of course, D1 driver for DTR, but sporting the DRA colours of the Red Bull in P3. Then we've got the Mercedes pair, of course the SLP Mercedes pair of Liam and Leroy. Verstappen for QVR, and one of the 3 teams without points this evening wanting to rectify that. Ariel have their other driver down in P7 Ps, so they're looking pretty strong, both driving the top 10 as well as Mercedes. Then Gelato P8, of course running for EVG. DTR, Brent racing for DTR, great job to get inside the top 10. Then it's both Ferraris, the XL duo of Killer Blue and Rocco. Could we see a bit of strategy from them early on, making sure they don't get involved with each other, but different tyres. You can see then it's EVG and CPI, DeGilly and Robbie. Both McLarens, the NRL boys of Felix and Jeremy. Other DTR driver Wesley, and you've got one of the BN LRE drivers and Nodlers. QVR backup, QVR DRA Dave for DR, and then Luke rounding out the field. Have a look at tyres very briefly, as Nathan's really getting those soft tyres up to temperature. And here we go. Yep, softs for the top 10, mediums for everybody outside the top 10 apart from Jeremy maybe wanting to make up a position here or there, but we'll have to find out. He should have the grip down in P15, and maybe with Gilly and Robbie not having that tyre temperature they would ideally want, they could be a little bit compromised. Maybe a bit of tactics here on the formation lap. It looks like Nathan's been hung out to dry just a little bit, and had to wait a little bit longer than I think maybe he would have been wanting to. But all the drivers are ready to form up. We're ready to get round number 2 underway. It was super close last week. I'm sure it's going to be even closer this week as we race under lights here at the Sakir International Circuit. 5 and a bit kilometres and 29 laps ahead of us. As the grid sorts itself out, the lights are here now. We have 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for round number 2. Looks like Mercedes in P4's got a fantastic start. Pyro potentially losing out a little bit compared to drivers. Covers the inside. Looks like Nathan's got a fantastic start as we head down towards turn 1. Nathan slots into the lead, getting ahead there. And it looks like Pyro's defending for all his might ahead of Jarry as they make their way now up there. He's all over the curb. May pick up a warning now. And Liam wants to get involved just behind them. Snaking up the hill now. Mercedes have also Leroy looking to try and jump involved behind, and Luke Mays a position as Wes Evans dropping down the order a little bit. Can the Mercedes hang this one round the outside, or is Pyro going to hold on? Pyro holds on the time being. It's 4th and 5th for Mercedes. Europe's in their place. Verstappen's had a great start. Unfortunately, lost the position there to Pease, Gelato, and then both Ferraris made a position, but down the inside comes Robbie. A little bit further back on the medium tyres, looking to make progress despite Killer Blue being on the softer compounded tyre. Jerry making a place on Nodles. And look, it's not been a great start for the DTR boys down in 19th and 20th. There's always been a contact there. Looks like maybe down the inside, Packer may have made contact with one of the McLarens. Jeremy, as they're now dueling their way down towards the 11 bit of contact between the pair. And there's that front wing damage. No, there is not. We're all catching. Felix might have a bit of front wing damage. See if we can spot that one. No, all looking good. Just unfortunately a bit of the lighting playing tricks there. But everybody relatively cleanly through. As they're still dueling away. Look at this, Dave and Felix fighting it out at the moment quite aggressively for P16 as Killer Blue still dueling away with EVG. And who's going to get the who's running left wing? Looks like the Haas slots ahead, but here comes back the Ferrari as Robbie maybe looks to move down the inside. Everyone well behaved in turn 1 as things stand. Who's going to come out on top between these two? The Haas does get ahead. For the time being, into the pit lane comes Felix and BNRO. And it sounds like Jeremy got a little bit rear-ended there, but I can't quite remember, to be perfectly honest. It's all kicking off. We're trying to sort of follow everything as it happens. Lap 1 always a little bit chaotic. But the top sort of 15 relatively cleanly through. And Jerry making up that early place on Pyro. Pyro doing his best to hold off and did a really good job defensively against Liam, trying to make a move around the outside of turn 4 on the opening lap. But the drivers now, the gap's just sitting under a second mark. Jerry just a little bit further back from Nathan. Nathan pushing on to try and break the DRS. Of course, 3 DRS zones around this track. Very, very powerful. And something that definitely will come into play definitely later on. Could see drivers maybe trying to do a bit of ERS saving. And that could be important for battle, especially come sort of around the pit stop phase and later on in the race. Of course, the guys on the medium tyres going that little bit longer. Maybe trying to extend to sort of lap 15 for putting on a set of hards. Soft guys, do they go for the 1 stop? Do they risk a 2? I think 2 maybe is a little bit more risky. You're relying yourself on pace. And according to the Nathan says the fastest lap of the race. According to his steering wheel, he's on 6% ERS. We'll get that telemetry up just to try and verify that. And yeah, he's only on 10% ERS. He's really a lot of real aggressive ERS usage from some of the front guys. No one having more than 60%. Actually, it's the only one in the 70s as DRS is enabled. But Nathan seems to be prioritising breaking that 1 second barrier. But can Jerry come back at him? I'm sure he'll be able to see on the back of that Alpine. You know, he would have seen he'd been harvesting electricity and wouldn't have a lot of power in the bank, you could say. Can I show the tyres? Of course I can show the tyres. I just want to cover it for the first couple of laps. So there we go. So hards for Felix and mediums for Luke. Further down the order, those guys having to pit on the opening lap of the race. And Jerry, well, back within that second, so I think he might have compromised him a little bit here, Nathan, and he's well just on above that second window at the moment. Jerry under pressure from Pyro just behind Liam again. Another driver just fluctuating on that second marker. Jerry needs to find 1,000th of a second at that when I said it. There's a swap position between the Mercedes and one of the Mercedes is off. That's Liam. I think he's clipped the inside curb. Very, very deadly corner, and unfortunately he's lost a lot of positions. Those tyres are going to be very hot, and he drops all the way Well, I think in the end it's going to be down to P16, just keeping ahead of Wesley. And we can already imagine what has gone on there, and he's just touched that inside curb so slightly. As we could have a move down here for P1, not quite, and well, we can see already. I think Nathan might be regretting that sort of aggressive ERS usage to break the DRS, because, well, it's already come back at him, and Jeremy making a move cleanly ahead of Nondes before they got into the braking zone. Back for the lead at the front. Oh, look like it's going to be a little bit of a lunge there from Pyro. As, of course, Liam's unfortunate spin has left a bit of a hole between the Mercedes of Leroy and the front three ahead. So he's hoping they battle a little bit more, try and reel in the front three. But it's good to see. Well, top four, all different teams. All different teams represented, and then comes so the first duplicate. If you like, Nathan going a little bit deep. Shari looking to seize his opportunity here. Will he make the move? He's not using ERS as... but also he's got to think about defending from behind. Was pushing that Alpine through these couple of corners. And well, we thought from the opening couple of sort of opening lap and a bit, I was almost worried Nathan was going to start running away with it, but Shari pushing him around the transition between the second and third sector. I think maybe picking up a warning there, Shari. And Pyro seems to, I don't know, for me, he's got this, just looks initially like he's got the best straight line speed out of the three. Could we see a double overtake for the lead into the first corner here? Is anyone going to go for it? Nathan goes super defensive, really covering that inside line. So this car Snake avoiding the pit boards. Shari, though, goes to the outside. He's cleanly ahead into the braking zone. Is he going to get overtaken by both of them? I think he might do. Down the inside comes Pyro. They're dueling away. They're wheel to wheel on the exit. Who's going to get the DRS up the hill towards turn 4? Can't quite see from this angle, but Pyro's going to get it. I think he's just going to keep ahead. Actually, they both got it because where Shari was. Unfortunately, Nathan, they're losing 2 positions. There's Leroy and Verstappen right on the back of Pete. Both Alpines under attack on lap number 5. And they're now line astern in order, as they weren't a couple of moments ago. Nodless in P13 putting a lot of pressure as well on Jeremy for P12. Maybe the medium tyre runners starting to get a bit of an advantage. You can see Rocco, Robbie and Gillet keeping well within a second of the soft runners in front. You can just see them in the background of your screen. Further back in order, so Felix looking to go long on his hard command tyres, maybe try and take them to the end. He seems to be making relatively decent progress on them, just sort of running on his own for the moment, and that can help you sometimes. And sort of keeping your head down, avoiding trouble, not getting involved in a battle to hold you up. But what is happening, I can see here, is the gap between the top 3 and almost the chasing pack is closing. It was around 2 seconds now, 1.4. So we could see a massive battle for the lead, but is Pyro going to go for the lead? DRS is activated. Jarry covers the inside. I think this could be an easy move. Already done before turn number 1. It seems to be Lucas unfortunately spun in the middle sector. Yellow flags are out, but he is still in this race, which is good to see, of course. As Pease and Leroy dueling out, and Leroy's lost out there on the exit, maybe just lighting up the rear tyres. And that allowed Verstappen past. He's going to be under threat from the Haas behind. Not on this occasion. And, well, a job behind of who wants to queue up, but there's a little bit of incident for the guys in front. Is there Jeremy and Nodless still going at it, as well as Liam and Dave. They're wheel to wheel on the exit of turn number 4. The Williams out the inside line. McLaren seems to just be ahead, and unfortunately he's been clipped. The Red Bull behind got ahead of Liam, but yeah, Nodless around the outside. Just got a. Or was he down the inside? I can't quite remember. I think he was around the outside. Just got a little bit of a tap from the inside. Always difficult to have 2 cars going into that corner. Unfortunately, spinning out there. Nevertheless, still going, of course, and it's not gone well for the Williams drivers in these early couple of laps. And he's now going to be dueling away with DTR Brent. I should assume, the next few sort of DRS rates, Jarry running wide once again, maybe picking up a warning, but no penalties so far on lap number 6. And will it be Jarry's turn to go on the attack once again? Nathan just keeping within touching distance of the front 2, who seem to be the ones going for it at the moment. Bit of ERS enabled there, just a bit of a boost there from Jarry. I think he saw he was catching, flicks to the inside, and the Jarry will move up in position. And Verstappen has done exactly the same, helping hand of DRS, giving him the lead. Jeremy into the pit lane from P15, maybe pulling the trigger for the soft running drivers. as Leroy seems to have got a really good exit. They're both going to have DRS. As Jarry has lost the lead, Pyro goes round his outside to regain the lead, almost doing what Max and Charles did in real life, just swapping positions, one into turn 1 and the other one gets him back into turn 4. They're still dueling away though, Pease and Leroy. Could we see a repeat of the previous lap? They're still going wheel to wheel. Leroy trying to keep his nose in there. They both come out alive on this occasion. And Pease, it's a fantastic defence. After losing the position to Verstappen, runs a little bit wide on the exit though. Cameron Leroy getting back up the hill, not quite on this occasion. Knowles has made the move on Brent for P16 as well. While we're watching this battle, having their own duel, they're having a duel to themselves. But yeah, definitely such a tight top 11 at the moment. Well, Isaac Packer, Dave Lehman, not too far behind them as well. It's only 4 seconds, and on the alternate strategy, it all could change. Got some real good battles at the moment. The one for sort of the top 3. Verstappen now a second ahead of Pease. That could be crucial. Come the end of the race, what's happened further back down the order? We'll try and see there. One of the Haas drivers, unfortunately, crashing out. And I hate to think that's probably going to be a repeat of what happened, unfortunately, to one of the Mercedes. But diving into the pit lane now, everybody, I think, is going to be coming and making use of this virtual safety car period, especially all the soft runners. Some guys trying to dummy. What will Rocco do? Rocco stays out. Of course, first driver on the medium tyres. Opting not to pit, and this race definitely has sort of ignited all of a sudden, hasn't it? Going for the medium tyres, a lot of drivers. Who's going to win the war in the pit lane? And it's as we were, but look how close it is between the top 3. Where are they going to filter out onto the track? Try and see who's stayed out. Williams of Nodles making up a lot of positions, of course, not pitting. Oh, he's behind the top 3. What happened there though? Nathan almost going into the back of Jarry. Did he make contact? Doesn't look like it. Drive-through penalty for Jarso. 3 drive-through penalties. Oh, they were having such a great battle, these guys. Just speeding on the VSC. They've just come out the pit lane as well, so they might just be that awkward. Of course, you've got to be really slow when you get to a hairpin, because it's sort of 40% of a really, really slow speed anyway. Jeremy and Brent going at it down the inside, because Jeremy got a better restart. Oh, and Luke's retired from the Grand Prix. Could we see it's yellow flags? It's called that sector 2, sector 3. He may have lost it on the curbs as well, taking a few victims here this evening. It doesn't look like the race directors want to VSC or safety car it. And we carry on as we were, but the battle at the front, the effective front, well, it's still Pyro, Jarry, Nathan as things stand. Dave putting pressure on Packer, of course not pitting, and then up the front as well. Robbie putting pressure on Rocco. These guys will be hoping for something a little bit later on. That incident is cleared a little bit further back down the field, but when P11 to 12, it's so unfortunate. It's so easy to do. Just speed on the VSC. We've all done it before. I definitely have. Done it twice in one race. Down the inside goes Robbie. Relatively easy move. Pags in losing position for P3 at the moment as Dave slots ahead. The Honda powered cars. But the battle we want to be seeing, we're going to see it from the best seat in the house. Jarry flicks to the outside. Pyro a little bit later on the brakes. Has he gone in a bit deep? He has. Jarry gets a cutback. It's an even better cutback from Nathan. And then we now go to up the hill towards turn number 4. Each driver desperate to have position on track. The 3 drivers all serving their drive-through penalties now. Jarry flicks to the outside. The door almost shuts on him. Can he go clean around the outside? He's going to give it a go. Can he have the legs to do it? He's just a little bit behind. I think Pyro's going to have the inside line now as we go into the middle sector. Oh, there's contact. He's spun him round. Not sure why there was sort of a close speed there. Pyro facing the wrong way. There's wing damage for Jarry. Yellow flags in sector 2. That's for Pyro. Oh, it's gutting. It was such a great duel between the 3 of them. Almost not sure what happened there between them. Pease and Jeremy dueling away at the end of the first sector as well. And Jarry got wing damage. Nathan's already passed. And you've got to say it's advantage Nathan in this race. I mean, we're only at a 3rd race distance. Nodles trying to hold it around the outside of Verstappen. Verstappen on fresh tyres. Verstappen's pulled him. Made some solid moves for Verstappen at the end of just before the VSC period. And he's moved himself up into what I'd argue is an effective P2. Jarry has got to come into the pit lane. He's already lost a second and a half. Sensibly, I think, pulling... trying to break the toe, actually. I was going to say, sort of letting him through, but you wouldn't be doing that in eSport racing. Will he dive straight into the pit lane for maybe another set of mediums? He will have another set of fresh mediums, and he is going to be going to the pit lane. And Verstappen takes what I think would be effective P2 in this race. Jarry into the pit lane. Pyro, will he come in as well? I don't think he wouldn't have got wing damage. So Jarry really taking the big penalty between the 2 of them. And it is going to be another set of the medium compound tyres for the Red Bull driver, but far from ideal for him. Not really sure why there was such a closing speed there between the pair of them. We were an off-board camera, and well, it looked like Pyro had won the battle between the pair of them. Nathan, well, he'd be loving the sight of that. Now comfortably in second and a bit clear of Verstappen, who all of a sudden has gone from sort of trying to lead that sort of charge for P4, and he's gone up into the lead battle, actually reeling in Nathan a little bit as well. Liam Craig behind Killer Blue, Mercedes versus Ferrari. Not something we can quite say this year, but I'm sure Mercedes will find a way back into the main duel, as it were. Let's have a look at the front two. Of course, yet to pit. The top five yet to pit as things stand. We saw Robbie made that move a little bit earlier on. Came Rocco getting back into turn one. DRS will be enabled for the Ferrari man. I don't think he's going to get quite close enough. Robbie doesn't have to worry just yet. Packer probably the same scenario for him. And Dave just 5 seconds behind this two. Not quite close enough, so the AlphaTauri has to stay behind the Red Bull as things stand. We'll see, just in Pyro, fortunately losing out on all of that time. Shijari actually last at the moment, and Liam Craig slots ahead of Killer Blue, the Mercedes. Winning ahead on that. George Dutcher says the fastest lap of the race on the medium tyres. Currently in P15, maybe helping out of DRS. And we've got it right on Julius. Brent doing his absolute best to hold on. Leroy's coming at him, and Pease is just behind him. Great little Jules. Brent, I think, is going to lose 2 positions on this one. Leroy doesn't have DRS to fight this one back, but Brent does. Could we see a re-overtake of the Mercedes? Not quite. Brent doing his best to hold on the inside. He's just going to lose. I think there's a bit of contact there as the sparks are flying. And just to join this battle as well. Very, very close fight for P12. Sorry, we flicked to that one a little bit late. Jarry closing in on Felix at the back end of the order. You would think Jarry doesn't have pit again. We did see the strategy at the start. If you start on the softs, you might have to two-stop. Could we see a lot of guys two-stopping? If they committed to the mediums, they could be a little bit wary by the end, but you know, these guys are some of the best in the business. They'll happily stretch out a set of tyres to avoid another pit stop. We see the damage of another pit stop, which is Jarry down at P18 at the moment. See the damage it can do to your race, making sort of that another pit stop. But we'll see how things progress in this one. The guys at the front may be opting for a one-stop. They've got track positions over everything else, and well, the gap's getting very, very close once again. Packer almost pushing Dave through the first couple of corners. Rocco not close enough to make a move of that. Can Brent re-find the position? He unfortunately lost. I think Leroy's can come under a fair bit of pressure once we get down towards turn 1. We'll follow the Mercedes driver. Under attack from the Alpine. Under attack. Who's under attack from the Aston, and it is going to go down the Pisa will go down the inside for P12 on track at the moment, and that's going to be the only position change. But Leroy's going to get DRS on the fight back, I would have thought. Snake up the hill. Can Brent get involved in the fight too? Yep, DRS for the Mercedes. Going to be forced to go the long way around. Who's latest on the brakes? Mercedes latest on the brakes. He sweeps around the outside, and I think he's going to get the better exit, and he moves himself up into P12. Brent he's got the best seat in the house for this particular battle, and Gelato as well. Just set the fast lap of the race. I think he'd be a bit frustrated he can't progress. Of course, he's in a DRS train at the moment. There's not a lot he can do. Up the road, the other Mercedes, both Mercedes defending for all their might at the moment. And Brent has done a really good stint actually. Sort of forced to pit a little bit earlier and didn't have the best of starts after getting a pretty decent qualifying. Because he's well in that fight with the likes of Pease and Leroy, who got pretty decent starts, I recall. Back at the front, Rocco still sat within that sort of second. I reckon Rocco's Packer though down the inside of the Red Bull of Dave. I think he's just going to get ahead, but Dave will fight this one back, pushing him over the curb. They're both off the track, jumping all over the curbs. And DRS for neither of them. That's how close it would have been. And yeah, Packer holding on to that one for the time being. And we're going to go back to this brilliant little battle. Leroy, can he hold on once again? We're going to flick behind us. Closing speeds from Pease. Felt the need to go defensive. That could compromise him coming out of the corner. And still the Mercedes holds on to that P12 further up the field. Killer Blue still pressure on Liam. The Mercedes still holding on. It's the same story at the moment in the battle we're watching as Leroy keeps hold of that P12. Not even half race distance yet. I mean, this has been a fantastic race. Up and down the field, a little bit of controversy, of course, but that's always a bit more fun when there's a bit of controversy, isn't there? As Pyro, the first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty for track limits. We've seen a few guys, I think, maybe push the bounds of the racetrack, but the first driver to do it on 3 separate occasions. And again, up at the front, Rocco just happy. We're going to get the telemetry up because I'm 67%. Robbie's on 30, so yeah, do a bit of saving, I would imagine, using the DRS to his advantage, and you see not pushing that overtake button just yet. Probably could make the move as he was desperate, actually pulling out the slipstream. So yeah, definitely wanting to avoid kind of using his ERS where he can do, wanting to save it for maybe a bit of a push later on, maybe overcutting, maybe undercutting his rival. I'll have to keep an eye on that one. DRA Dave holding on, and that's Nathan down the inside of Wesley. Can Wesley hold this one round the outside? He's going to give it a go. Is the DTR driver. Will he get DRS to fight this one back? He won't. So Wesley with his sitting duck here. And Verstappen's well within the duel. He slots ahead of Wesley, and now this is the effective fight for P1. So Nathan's been reeling in Wesley, and Verstappen's been reeling in the pair of them. Look at this gap for the effective race lead. It's 0.3 of a second. It was around 2 seconds earlier on. Leroy's still holding on in that Mercedes. You can see the train on your mini. I don't think we're going to see any moves on this particular lap, and still Liam holding off Killer Blue. And again, the front 4 as they were too. I mean, it's been a great duel for everybody, really. Yeah, not the best for NRL tonight, must be fair to say, but still opportunities. Felix going long on those hards, and Jeremy, well, not too far behind. Actually, Jeremy's joined that great duel now, so I think there's opportunities for a lot of people tonight. We've seen what can happen with guys up at the front. Unfortunately, Pyro and Jarry coming together definitely, I think, has brought Verstappen into the race a little bit more. And Pyro, what's happened here? One of the Williams is racing the wrong way around. It's not been a great race for BNLRE tonight, and he's lost his front wing. Doing a bit of a Jack Aitken, unfortunately. Just 2 corners behind. But Nathan, though, has lost the effective race lead to Verstappen. Verstappen slots ahead. Wesley still keeping him in DRS range, or the pair of them, though. Can Nathan get him back, though, up the hill towards T4? Looks like Verstappen's got a fantastic exit. Yeah, can't get him back, and was into the pit lane, as we would expect. Killer Blue, nice and close to his rival in front, but he's not close enough to make the move. And again, I think maybe it's just a case, unfortunately, a case of a bit of a DRS train behind these two. That's what happens at Bahrain. It's 3 big DRS zones, 3 kind of meaningful DRS zones. There's some tracks that DRS zones they're a bit irrelevant kind of thing. I think a Zandvoort, those sort of middle sector DRS zone, it doesn't really give you too much. But here they're quite strong DRS zones, can really help you stay with a rival. And I think we're definitely seeing that with Nathan and Verstappen. Verstappen had the DRS and was able to keep and really pressurise Nathan from behind. Nathan now gets the helping hand each lap, as long as he can stay within that second. The gap at half a second at the moment. Wesley just dropping out of that, but maybe using a bit of an ERS just to keep within the second. And of course, they're on different race plans at the moment. Is Dave close enough to have a go at Packer? We'll have to wait and find out. Actually, again, breaking the toe, breaking slipstream, not wanting to close in his rival too much. Definitely some tactics here from Dave. Interesting to see. Definitely interesting. Wanting to save ERS and try and play maybe a bit more of a long game. Nathan not close enough to make a move on this lap, and they stay P5 and P6. But Killer Blue finally makes the move. He was pressurising Liam for a lot of this race, and finally gets ahead of the Mercedes, moving himself up into P9. But Pisa's finally found a way past Leroy. Leroy trying to turn in there, but Pisa's run him a little bit wide. Brent, and Gelato going to battle as well. Who's going to get DRS in this one? It's everybody apart from Pease. And Pease has moved himself on the P11. I think the rest of the order is going to stay. Leroy look for a little bit of a move up the inside, but no way through on this occasion. So we work our way through the middle sector, single file. Will we see a bit of a lunge down the inside? Not even thinking about it. Is Leroy playing the sensible game, knowing the DRS zones will come to him, and the overtaking opportunities will be a little bit better. Something I have just noted, which could be quite interesting, we're going to flick to the battle, which is now for P3, because this great battle between Packer and Dave, they've got company. Verstappen and Nathan are there too, and well, with 8 lap fresher tyres, you would expect them to be a lot quicker. So we'll see if they can get through, almost, and find a way past Verstappen and his teammate Packer, leading this battle at the moment. And the one applying real pressure to Dave. Will we see a bit of a lunge? Of course, Dave has saved a lot of ERS we've seen over the last couple of laps. Oh, bit of contact move there from Nathan. The rear just seemed to slide away from us when we were on board. That might suggest a little bit of a tap from the rear. Didn't see it, so I don't want to assume anything. But well, these guys look quite comfortable on the medium sides. I reckon they might go to the soft. We could just see a one-stop from the most of the field. The game will cause always a bit kind of protective of you, but here comes Leroy down the inside of the Alpine. This battle still rages on, and well, Brent and Co sat behind have still got the best in the house of this, and actually, a bit of contact between the pair of them. Leroy, though, had to give his rival the room, and Nathan and Verstappen both getting ahead of Dave. I think Dave maybe just struggling for traction on the exit of that corner. Further back, Pease has dived down the inside, and he's got the position back, and he's going to be quite forceful into the middle sector. Brent looking for a way past Leroy as well. Can he find one? No, he can't. Giotto looks for the outside on Brent, and still there as they were. It's somehow still the order where Jeremy trying to get involved. Jari's now joined the back of this battle too. All those guys, I think, definitely going to the end of the race. Even right behind Verstappen. Verstappen, of course, is behind his teammate, and this could get very interesting. 2 very close battles on track. Still Rocco behind Robbie, out in the lead of this race, but really closing in on him. We might have to flick, actually, because might be looking for a move here. The Ferrari driver goes down the inside. He's going to lead the alternate strategy battle, if you will, a little bit deep into turn 1. He's going to get the up and under of his teammate. Further back, Verstappen is ahead of his teammate, and they've actually done that really, really well. We're going to look for a late move for the Alpine. The Alpine is going to send it to the inside. We thought it might have been great tactics there to try and make sure Packer stayed in between the pair of them. He doesn't. Robbie, though, going to try and fight this one around the outside. Rocco takes the lead of this Grand Prix, well, the effective race lead. Sorry, not the effective race lead, the actual race lead. The effective race lead is Verstappen's at the moment. Both of them are past Packer and Dave. And still, they duel on who's the next one. Effectively, P3 is still Pyro. In a bit of no man's land at the moment. Liam Craig still has Killer Blue for close company. And well, this battle between Pease, Leroy, Brent, Tato, Jeremy, and now Jari is holding up a little bit. They've lost a couple of seconds over the last few laps. Dueling away, and that was maybe a bit of a lunge there from Gelato as he looked to try and find a way through, frustrated behind the back of that Aston Martin. I think these guys at the front, maybe, that is a very defensive line there from Liam Craig. Some marbles being flicked up in the air, and still holding on to that. P9, the Mercedes back ahead of the Ferrari. Up at the front, they're all both going to pit lane. The pit lane, the pit window is open for the medium tyre runners. They're looking to make the stop 10 laps up on the soft to them. That pushes Verstappen onto the race lead. Nathan into P2, and it's soft tyres to the end for DTR. Dave into the pit lane too. Watch his pit stop as he bolts on a set of fresh softs. There's Killer Blue not close enough to Liam to have a go on this occasion, and these guys are going to be pretty quick. I'm surprised Wesley Packer didn't come in, try and make use of these softs, but Packer is within DRS range of the front two. They can sort of, if he can hold on, you can try and get pulled along almost with a bit of DRS. DTR Dave dropping down the order because the battles are so close. SP still holding on. We're going to have even more people in this battle. Oh, I'm all for it, Dave. You would imagine we'll close up. It's been a great exit though for Jari. He's going to be looking for the inside, but everybody's got DRS, and it's so hard to get past, and there's almost no advantage. Jari trying to go around the outside. Is there room for on the outside? There isn't, and they're in the order they were. I mean, at the moment they're fighting for P10, and I mean, whoever gets this P10 would have been the most well fought P10 I think anyone would have ever seen. But still, the guys on the soft tyres are now pushing Killer Blue right on the back of Liam. We've said that so many times in this race as well. The battle's still... this battle's gone on and on and on. There's yellow flags. What has happened? I think Sherry's had a spin. He's dropped off the back of the duel. The big duel. But doesn't seem to have any damage. That's really unfortunate for Zhao. He looks like he was putting good pressure on Jeremy and actually looked the most likely for a move. QVR Packer into the pit lane. Wesley stays out, maybe hoping for a safety car or similar. And he's going to have Pyro right on the back of him, especially on the run up to turn 4. We could see a change of position here for P3 on track, because Pyro will inherit P3 at some point. I think definitely, at the moment, you definitely say deserves a podium, was definitely in that P1 battle, not on this occasion. And that's actually a move. That's Leroy getting ahead and slotting right into the duel is Paco. He's there on our right hand side. Now he's behind Brent, and Gelato's going to be pressuring. Will he have DRS? He will. So that's good for him. Pyro does get ahead of Wesley. That's a little bit of a lunge, I think, into the hairpin. And Packer slotting out just behind Brent, but he's going to have the fresh shots. He's going to have the pace. And Robbie, another driver who's made the move into the hairpin in the middle sector. Rocco in P5. I wouldn't count Rocco out for... Rocco is effective P4. I wouldn't count him out for the podium here. He's had a fantastic race. Robbie is ahead of Liam and the soft guys. Actually, looks like Packer has made the move ahead of Brent. Apologies for missing that. And definitely making progress. Really wanting to attack and well. Yes, we're in a slipstream train as I think Jerry and Dave. That wasn't fought too hard by the team play there. As Dave can really fight after this duel in front. Well, the guys on medium tyres, by the end they will have almost 20 lap old tyres roughly. So we'll be getting a little bit old. Wesley is into the pit lane eventually. Rocco sets the fast lap of the race, and that's the difference. They're over a second quicker lap, these soft runners. And I think we'll have to watch out for the podium here. Nathan still sat behind Verstappen. ERS, a lot more for Nathan. That could come into play a little bit later on. And Packer got ahead of Brent on the last lap. Can he make the move? Can he make a double move? He's going to flick to the inside. He's going to flick to the inside even more. Just not. Wanted almost forward about it. Holding it around the outside is Leroy. And we now get... He actually got a much better exit. They've opened up the line more. And Packer... Unfortunately, they've got DRS all again. Packer, though, looks to the outside. He's going to get the slipstream from Pease in front of him. Going to go clean around the outside of the Mercedes. It's just about a car's width around the outside. And he slots himself up in a P9. Felix is the fast lap of the race. Down in P18. So maybe some sort of untapped pace there a little bit for him. Killer Blue just holding on to the second margin that's in front of him. And this has been a brilliant duel. I think everybody's really been in a fantastic fight today, which has not worked out for some people. Actually, it's all been pretty clean, it must be said. So great. I mean, it's great racing. It just shows when the best go at it. I mean, it's great to watch. Packer, you'd imagine he'd be past Pease. I think he's going to be looking at, well, could he reel in Killer Blue? I think that's a question we'll have to ask ourselves once he gets past, because he's still got to make the overtake. It's one thing to close the gap, another thing to get ahead. Drivers maybe looking for moves in here. DTR Dave has got ahead on the exit, and he slots ahead into the final corner. I think this will be the next move on track. Packer can be making the move on Pease. I think this will be relatively easy as we fly past the grass on the side of the track. And oh, no DRS, unless he closed it early. Packer didn't seem to have any DRS, and that move not as easy as we potentially thought it was going to be. Has he got an issue or something? I mean, that DRS is now open. He's now going for the move. DTR Dave also pressuring Gelato just around the behind. Packer swoops around the outside. Dave swoops around the... I think Dave went out the inside. Ultimately, Wesley gets ahead of Jarry, but Jarry's got the better exit. Both these drivers in D1 this season in DTR and dueling it out here on eSports Friday nights as well. And there's a change of positions further up the road. Rocco trying to go round the outside. That's a fantastic move. Bit of a touch, and somehow Pyro holds the car all together. His teammate is now within a second of him as well. Pyro should be up in that duel for the lead. I've got to be honest, but that's what happens in racing, unfortunately. Sometimes you get a bit of contact, and Robbie, well, hasn't got any ERS to play with. He's on 3% as he slams on the brakes at the final corner. 7 laps to go in this one. Once we hit the flag, and Dave putting pressure on Brent, looking to move out of the. Not got any ERS to really fight with, but Dave's going for the move. He's going to be later on the brakes, I'd imagine, and he's going to get ahead. Further the order, there's a change of position between the two Alfa Romeos. I don't think that one was too hardly between the two CPI drivers. Pyro's battle, unfortunately, not with Robbie, I don't think, this evening. Robbie wanting to try and push on and maybe challenge Rocco a little bit further up the road. Pease and Leroy, they're still going at it. Really pushing him off the track there a little bit. Can DTR Dave get involved? He's going to get the better exit out of the pair of them. DTR Dave with DRS, and there's a big crash. Leroy, it just seems free. It did not work on the exit, unfortunately. Leroy is out of the race. Could we get a late safety car here? In a Bahrain, there is a safety car, and that is going to mix it all up completely. It just seemed we didn't get the best of angles, I will be honest, but it seemed that maybe the two that were really dueling, we saw one of the drivers get really pushed off on the exit, and it just they both came back onto the track. They compromised their turn two quite aggressively. And as they came back onto the track, I don't think they realised Dave was there. Dave got a massively superior exit, opened up the corner massively, because you saw they were fighting. They both went really, really wide. And as they came back on the track, I think they just didn't see Dave there. And it's 3 cars on the exit. It doesn't normally work, unfortunately. But my gosh, this race has ignited. What are the top two going to do? Both drivers into the pit lane. Mate, Rocco's going to stay out. Robbie's going to stay out. I think we're going to see all the medium runners come into the pit lane. But where will they filter out? That's the big question. The advantage has very much swung the way of Rocco, Robbie, Packer, Dave, Wesley down in P14 is going to gain, I would imagine, 4-5 positions maybe. Killaboo into pit lanes, Liam into the pits. Mercedes versus Ferrari duel. Where will these two come out in the pit lane? We're going to follow this one. It's going to be close. And Mercedes is ahead. Packer making up to P5. Great little... See, QVR, Verstappen and Nathan, they've got 4 lap fresher tyres. They've lost track position. Can they find those positions? I think it was quite amazing, to be fair. We had that many laps of quite aggressive and fierce racing. We didn't have something kick off in that battle, and it maybe was coming a little bit. Definitely NRL could definitely benefit from this one. Both from fresh softs now, everybody on the soft tyres. It seems DTR Dave has the oldest set. Actually, it's DTR Dave and the top two have the oldest set, only 4 laps old, so might come into play, but I wouldn't maybe think so too much. Safety car will definitely help them out. But let's have a look at the positions gained. We're behind the safety car now. We're going to be behind it for a few laps. Position changes, big winners. It's the guys at the top. It's guys on the alternate strategy that are the big winners. I think it's quite clear to see. You got Rocco, Robbie up 10 and 11. Packer and Dave up 13 each. Wesley up 8 as well. So definitely everybody on the soft compound tyres. And only 2 penalties as well, which doesn't help Pyro and Dave, because when the field bunches up, of course they can lose a lot more penalties, but of course we're still going to have 4 or 5 laps of racing left. We're definitely not going to go to the end of this one. It might be the next one. I imagine the field will be able to bunch up. So there are opportunities, I would imagine, for everybody. Rocco leads the way from Robbie. The alternate strategy really working for them. Verstappen, I'd say my sort of driver of the race at the moment. Sort of made some key moves early on. And unfortunately, that incident between Jarry and Pyro happened. He then reeled in. Nathan made the move, made it stick, and has held on to the lead ever since. And any ERS, we sort of mentioned it throughout, but any sort of ERS deficits have been almost reset with this safety car. Any fuel, if anyone underfueled their cars massively, we've only had 1 VSC period, so this would definitely help out those guys who opted to underfuel. Nathan in P4, Packer's teammate as well. Sorry, Verstappen's teammate Packer in P5, making up a lot of positions on that alternate strategy, and was sort of just made his way through that big battle between the likes of, unfortunately, Leroy is out, Pease, Brent, Gelato, Jarry joining it as well. So again, another driver taking advantage of that. DTR Dave as well, another one in that same boat. Talked about Pyro just a minute ago. He's had to make up a few positions. So we'll have to make up a few positions to join the fight. He probably should be in. Wesley, another driver, alternate strategy working for. Definitely bided his time in that first stint, and he's reaping the rewards now. He was the last driver to pit, maybe wishing he waited a few more laps, but I don't think he would have survived all the way to lap 23, I think was what it was. Liam and Killer Blue, I mean, you can't separate them. That's all they've been, one behind the other all race. I think they'll be sick of the sight of each other after the checkered flag. And it seems like the tyre warming is intensifying. as the restart to this race is imminent. And you've got Pease, Brent, Gelato, Jeremy. I mean, all they've seen is each other in this last sort of 10, 15 laps. Jeremy, unfortunately, that entered a little bit earlier on, down in P15, but he can fight his way back for the field. We'll know he has the pace. And Felix and Nidales on the back of the field. As we're ready to go racing, the safety car will break away. We'll get the telemetry up just so we know when he goes. We can watch the throttle trace if you like. And we can see the safety car coming around the final corner now. When will Rocco decide to go? We can see the chasing pack behind us and alongside us. Robbie really putting in the pressure, and he goes now. He's gone nice and early, and they might have caught the field napping a little bit there. Rocco gets that power down, really struggling a little bit for traction there out of the final corner, but definitely committed to going. And we're underway for the final 4 laps of this Grand Prix. Heading down towards turn number 1. Is Robbie looking for the move? He definitely had a think about it. Further back down the order, Liam putting pressure on Wesley. Liam's going to go down the inside as Pyro goes down the inside of Dave. Maybe a bit of contact, almost he was drifting through there. Wesley holding on for all his worth, and just unfortunately losing out there to Liam, but he's now going the slipstream. Pease as well, getting the back of Killer Blue. Surprised not to see a Mercedes behind him, and we go up down into turn number 4. Wesley has to understeers a little bit wide, actually. The Ferrari is going to get the opportunity on the inside. It's a drag race now. Down towards turn number 5. Wesley runs quite wide, unfortunately for him. The top 5 or so as they were. Pease, he tapped the back of the Aston Martin, goes down the inside. Somehow they don't touch, and Pease gets a better exit. Oh, and what happens to the McLaren there? That was an almighty crash if there was one. Wesley, I think, letting his teammate through there. As we go into the middle sector, what happens to one of McLaren's? I mean, it jumps all over the shop. It seems to be okay as things are up at the front. Every gap is within a second. Pyro putting the pressure on in front. Pace hit Packer. He must have hit Packer. Packer is off the circuit. Massive tank slapper as he sort of got to the midpoint of the corner. So it was either a big hit of the curb, but I think it might have been a little tap from the rear. But no harm doing too massively. He's lost a few positions, but at least he's still very much within this race. ERS is being absolutely abused on this restart. Liam looking for a move past Packer. Wesley losing position to Jarry. Both of them, as we spoke earlier, D1 rivals, and further up Verstappen wanting this win. He's fought hard for it. Paris at the fastest lap of the race, proving his speed we've seen throughout the gaps, all the gaps. Looking for a move. The Mercedes on the Red Bull further back, and the Red Bull trying to go down the inside. That's Dave trying to make a move for P6. Dave does get ahead on the exit. What can Liam and actually further up the order, we're looking for a move, because that's Verstappen going for the P2 in this race, trying to turn in, but there's the Alfa Romeo. No way through just there. Further back. Big moment there, and actually Dave losing out to Liam. Dave down into P8 after being the one fighting in P6. Jeremy ahead of Wesley down in P14 as well. Up the order, Verstappen a little bit frustrated behind Robbie. They're both, the front two are just, they can't believe their luck almost with that safety car. Perfect timing for them, and that's down the inside. That's a bold move from Pyro. He's collected Nathan. That was a day late and $1 short. He ghosts back down to P5, and he has to slot in behind Nathan and Verstappen on that one. Felix losing a position to Nodlas, and Wesley actually, they're all over each other down in for P15. The battle's, Nathan's off. Nathan is off. We're not sure what happened there. Maybe just collecting the curb as he was pushing. That's very unfortunate for Nathan. Where is he going to slot back in? He's right with his teammate. Those tyres are going to be nice and toasty, I would imagine. And Verstappen still pushing on at the back of the front two. Can the front two hold on? This will be a fantastic drive if they can. DRS is now enabled. We're going to have the first time on the run up to T4. The front four seem to be, they've got a 2-second gap to everybody in front. Liam is on the attack once again. He's going to go down the inside of Packer. A little bit late on the brakes. Can he get the car stopped just about? Has a jump over the curb. It's like Noah's Ark behind. It's 2x2. There's even 3 wide at some points. Brent's had to back out of that one because he got compromised massively. And on the outside is Gelato. The move up, I missed the move up at the front, because that's round the outside goes Verstappen on Kobe. And the two Alfa Romeos are in line, and actually he's let Pyro through. Great team play there from the CPI drivers. Jarry's up to P11. Making moves here and there. Jeremy's ahead of Brent. I think Brent's got wing damage. I think he might have gone into the back of. We did see sort of in the distance he had to massively get out of the back of it. Is Pyro going to go for the move? He's not. He's just going to avoid tapping the back of the Alpha Tauri. Yellow flags in sector 2, and that is Brent facing the wrong way, unfortunately. That wing damage not helping him at all. Down the inside goes Pyro. That he's using all his ERS and a little bit more. And Pyro's gone from that unfortunate sort of spin mid-race. He could be looking at the race lead now. We're on the penultimate lap of the race. How's that happened all of a sudden? As we go, Pyro's got penalties though. Pyro's got penalty for Verstappen maybe playing the longer, but he'd want to be attacking next to Rocco because that's for the race lead. As things stand, Pyro needs to get on with it because, well, he's got the penalties coming his way. We know that. Robbie just under a second as things stand in the gaps. Well, every gap is 2/10 at the moment, it seems. Pyro's spun. Pyro's out of the Grand Prix. That's a frustrating end for Pyro, unfortunately, on the penultimate lap of this race. Didn't quite make the final lap, but this is a battle for the race lead. Verstappen, will he think about a move down the inside? There's no way through at the moment. There's no ERS for either driver. We're going to keep with this front duel because this is for the 25 points picking up this evening. Verstappen will run up towards turn number 4. Can he find a way past? It's a free-taking penalty for Gelato. There's no way through. Verstappen not close enough. Behind for the final spot on the podium. Round the outside goes Liam. That's a fantastic move if he can make his stick. He keeps it within track limits. And that's a brilliant move. Picking up those positions. There's no points for QVR. They're trying to go for the lead tonight. XL, second in the championship, trying to get the first finish. Their first place finish of this evening. No podiums for XL, despite being second in the championship. This will be a great way to kick off their sort of trips to the podium. It'll be a win. Nathan putting pressure on Packer. They're true drivers that probably should be a little bit further up the order. They came to blows with Pyro potentially in these last couple of laps. We can't be quite sure. Verstappen's going for the lead. He's a tenth between them. They're giving it everything and a little bit more. It's the final lap of the Grand Prix. We've got corners left, let alone laps. And this is literally everything. They're throwing everything at the racetrack and seeing what it gives. And he's trying to break the toe. Neither of them got ERS to play with. Could we see a lunge into the final corner? This is your Grand Prix win. He can't quite go for it. He's going to be pushing the Ferrari around the final corner. But what a drive from Rocco. He will take the 25 points unless anything can happen on the run to the line. The gap between them is less than a tenth of a second. It's Rocco from Verstappen, from Liam, from Robbie, from Pease takes P5, less than a tenth behind Robbie. Packer is 6th, Nathan is 7th, Killer Blue 8th, Jarry 9th. Well, NRL picking up points in the McLaren's. Jeremy Felix doing a good job in the closing stage. Not less P12. I think he'll be happy with that. Sort of after it all, Gelato, Dave, and the 2 DTR drivers, unfortunately, of Wesley and Brent. What a final end to this Grand Prix. It was absolutely fantastic. Liam nicking the podium. Great job as well for FER or FER. Yeah. No, NRL. No, FER. What do you FER? Apologies. But yeah, great job from Rocco. Made the alternative strategy one and held off the fierce chasing pack behind him, and a very well-deserved win. We saw throughout the race he was just playing a smart game. And it's definitely come back. He's reaped the rewards of that. Packer takes driver of the day. I'll agree with that. Drake drive from Packer too, to be fair. Missing out, unfortunately, in the end. I think we might see a few steward reports for some of those final couple of laps. I think it may have been the odd bump out the way here and there. But nevertheless, it's Rocco that takes the win. It's a very deserved win. Making the alternative strategy where the safety car helping him, of course. But sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. Verstappen did everything he could. Great drive from him as well. Another sort of, you got to give credit, I think, to both AlphaTauri / QVR drivers today. But I mean, great drive from Rocco. The gap a tenth of a second. I thought we were going to see a lunge into the final corner, but not on this occasion. Of course, if you follow the DTR leagues itself, we're in Bahrain this weekend. The sort of esports kicks it all off, if you like. But if you're just here for the esports, which you shouldn't be, because it's all going to be great racing. Make sure to come back next week where we kick off in Australia. We're going down under, of course the F1 is there. Next weekend, we'll be on the Friday night, we'll be there on the following week. But it's Bahrain coming up this week. And I need to have a lie down after that. But we'll go through the order quickly. Rocco, Verstappen, Liam, Robbie, Pease, Packer, Nathan, Killer Blue, Jarry. Jeremy make it top 10. Then it's Felix, not Liz, Gelato, Dave, Wesley, and Brent, your finishers, and Pyro. Leroy, Jilly and Luke make up your order, and I think that's probably it for me. We'll see you all next week for Australia. I'm looking forward to it. You should all be looking forward to it. And peace out. I've never said that. I shouldn't say that. That was an awful thing to say to end it all. But thank you for watching, everyone. I've really enjoyed that. Hopefully I get the call back to come next week. And we'll do it all again down under in Melbourne just before the race weekend kicks off. So we'll see everybody for that.